Welcome to our GEO Guide, Part 7, GEO Page Template.
Glad to be here for this one.
So, imagine pouring your absolute soul into writing this brilliant, 5,000-word masterpiece.
Oh, I know this feeling.
Right. It perfectly solves a massive problem in your industry. You hit publish, you sit back, and you just wait for the traffic to roll in. But weeks later, crickets.
Just absolute silence.
Exactly. An AI search engine completely ignored your magnum opus, all because your opening paragraph was, trying to be clever instead of clear.
And that scenario is playing out millions of times a day right now across the internet. Creators are, they're writing for an old version of the web.
Yeah, assuming that if the information is good enough, people and algorithms will eventually just find it.
But in the era of generative engine optimization, or GEO, that assumption is a fatal flaw.
Which brings us to the core mission of our deep dive today. We are exploring the insights of author Jörg-Owe Schneppat, specifically looking at his strategies for building web pages that satisfy both human curiosity and, AI-powered search engines.
It's such a crucial balance to strike right now.
It really is. So for anyone listening, consider this your ultimate shortcut. We're going to understand why some websites give you exactly what you need the second you land on them, while others just leave you drowning in a sea of corporate fluff.
Schneppat's core premise tackles that frustration head-on. He argues that the vast majority of websites fail not from a lack of useful information, but because that info is just poorly structured.
Right, it's buried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A page might look visually stunning, but if it hides the main answer inside a massive wall of text or fails to provide strong, easily citable source material, the user bounces.
And more importantly, for today's landscape, the AI search system just moves on to a page that makes its job easier, right?
Precisely. And Schneppat's solution to this is a dedicated GEO page template.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the literal building blocks of Schneppat's template, like where to put the headings, what to put in the paragraphs, we really need to understand the philosophy behind it.
The structural mindset, yeah.
Yeah. Think of a human user landing on a poorly structured web page, like walking into a massive, disorganized hardware store.
Okay, I like that.
You just need a simple box of nails, but instead of pointing you to aisle 5, the store clerk traps you at the entrance.
Oh.
And they launch into this 10-minute, highly enthusiastic backstory about the historical evolution of hammers.
You would immediately turn around and leave the store to find a better one. That is the human experience of bad structure.
Totally.
Now, let's look at the AI perspective, which Schneppat focuses heavily on. Imagine an AI scraping that same disorganized page. It's like a student trying to study for a final exam using a textbook that has no chapters.
Wow, yeah. No index.
That's right. No index, no table of contents, and no bold vocabulary words.
So the student has to read every single word just to figure out what the book is even about.
And that takes immense computational effort. Large language models, the engines behind AI search, they don't read like we
They
do.
don't just scan the page.
No, they process text in chunks, called tokens. They're constantly calculating the mathematical probability of which words belong together.
Oh, okay.
So Schneppat points out that a GEO-ready page cannot force these systems to hunt for answers. You have to guide the reader, whether human or machine, logically.
Like holding their hand through the content.
Exactly. Question to answer, answer to broader context, context to action. The template helps AI instantly understand the topic, the specific query it resolves, and the creator's identity.
The overarching mandate is simple then: make the page easy to read, understand, trust, cite, and act upon.
That's the golden rule.
So we have a mandate for ultimate clarity. But how do we actually execute that the second someone lands on the page? Because we have to win that first impression, or they bounce.
Winning that first impression, according to Schneppat, happens entirely at the very top of the page, starting with a really powerful H1 heading.
Okay.
His absolute rule for the H1 is that clarity is stronger than cleverness.
Meaning those vague marketing slogans that companies love so much are actually, actively hurting you.
They are devastating to a GEO strategy. Schneppat provides some excellent contrasting examples here.
Let's hear them.
So a company might want to use a weak, clever heading like solutions that work, or your trusted partner for growth.
Which sounds nice in a brochure.
Right. But to an AI, that means absolutely nothing. Instead, you need ruthless directness. Emergency roof repair in Hamburg. Or how to choose the right CRM system for a small business.
Just boom, right to the point.
Yes, the user and the search system must know your exact intent before they even scroll.
But the heading is just the title. Schneppat emphasizes that immediately following that H1, you need what he calls a short answer.
Yep, the immediate payoff.
Just 2 to 4 sentences giving immediate orientation. Now, I have to push back here.
Okay, go for it.
I see this advice, and my instinct is, wait, aren't we giving away the punchline? If I give the user the exact answer in the first 3 sentences, why would they keep reading the rest of my brilliantly written page?
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism of how AI actually generates its answers. Schneppat insists that you are not replacing the page with this short answer.
Okay.
You are creating an answer-ready section. Because AI processes tokens based on semantic proximity, putting the direct answer immediately after the clear heading reduces the computational distance required to link the query to the solution.
Ah, so you're serving the answer on a silver platter.
Exactly, making it incredibly easy for the AI to extract and cite your text.
So by making it easy to extract, we drastically increase the chances of the AI actually using our page as its source.
Yes, exactly.
But what about the human reader? I mean, do they just read those 3 sentences and leave?
Actually, providing that immediate answer builds instant trust. Schneppat argues that it reassures the user they are in the exact right place.
That makes sense.
Sure, if the question is what time does the store open, a short answer is all they need. But complex topics, business decisions, or expensive services, those always require deeper context.
So the short answer opens the door.
Right. It is then followed by a Why This Matters section, which bridges the gap between the technical answer and the user's real-world problem.
Oh, I see.
If the page discusses roof repair costs, the Why This Matters section explains that knowing these factors prevents catastrophic water damage down the line. It hooks them emotionally.
I am still a bit stuck on the middle of the page, though.
Let's talk about it.
Let's say I'm an AI search engine. I landed on the page, I saw the clear H1, I scraped that beautifully concise short answer, and I grabbed the context. I have what I need. Why would I care about the remaining 1,000 words?
That's a very fair question.
Like, how do we keep proving our authority to a machine that already got the summary?
Because an AI is also evaluating the depth and validity of the source. Anyone can use an AI to generate a 3-sentence summary.
True.
Schneppat's template uses the body of the page as an engine of trust and utility to prove you are an actual expert. And it starts with definitions. You have to clear up jargon immediately.
Right. In his essay, Schneppat uses the example of structured data when talking about website optimization. He points out that you can't just dive into advanced tactics without defining the terms.
You lose people instantly if you do.
Yeah. For anyone listening who might not know, structured data, or schema markup, is essentially hidden code on a web page.
Right.
It translates the visible text into a standardized format that search engines natively understand. Think of it like translating a restaurant menu into a specific language for a food critic. If you don't define that early on, the reader is completely lost.
And if the human reader is lost, the AI notices those poor engagement metrics.
Oh, of course.
So, after establishing a shared vocabulary with definitions, Schneppat moves to step-by-step explanations. You must turn passive information into concrete action.
Give them something to do.
Exactly. Whether you are explaining how to prepare for a plumbing inspection or how to migrate a database, a logical sequence grounds the abstract concepts.
And to anchor those steps even further, Schneppat says practical examples are non-negotiable. Like, a theoretical page without examples is just noise.
AI search systems rarely cite purely abstract pages. They look for tangible data.
Give me the proof.
Right. Schneppat advises using before and after scenarios or sample calculations. If the page is about the cost of a website redesign, simply listing numbers isn't enough.
You need context.
You should show 3 distinct example projects with completely different budgets, scopes, and outcomes. That proves to the algorithm and the human that you possess real-world experience, not just theoretical knowledge.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Oh, yeah?
Schneppat includes a mandatory section in his template for common mistakes. Now, my background tells me that businesses absolutely hate doing this.
They despise it.
They only want to project total perfection and talk about their massive successes. But Schneppat argues that pointing out potential failures actually builds massive trust.
It is a brilliant psychological pivot that works on multiple levels. Let's think about how an AI determines expertise.
Okay.
It looks for comprehensive coverage of a topic. Anyone can list the benefits of a product. But explaining what can go wrong, The pitfalls, the incompatibilities, the hidden costs that demonstrates that you have been in the trenches. You have scars.
It's the difference between reading a glossy brochure and talking to a veteran mechanic.
Yes.
The mechanic says, look, this part is great, but if you don't calibrate it right, it's going to totally ruin your engine.
That is exactly the tone Schneppat is advocating for. If an e-commerce guide warns a user about the mistake of ignoring product compatibility, they aren't just selling a product anymore, they are protecting the user.
Wow, yeah. It transforms the page from a sales pitch into a genuine consultation.
Exactly. Now, rounding out that middle trust-building section is the FAQ, the frequently asked questions.
Ah, yes. In the old days of SEO, FAQs were notorious. They were basically just dumping grounds for awkward keyword phrases that writers couldn't fit naturally into the paragraphs.
And Schneppat is militant about ending that practice. A GEO-ready FAQ cannot be keyword spam.
Thank goodness.
It must answer genuine, lingering questions that naturally arise from the topic. If you are writing a local roofing page, the FAQ should address things like, will my insurance cover this specific type of repair? Or, how do I know if a small leak is an actual emergency?
Real questions real people have.
Yeah, exactly. And he makes a very practical structural point here. If a question requires a massive 5-paragraph essay to answer, it does not belong in an FAQ.
Right, that's just a whole new article.
It deserves its own dedicated section on the page. FAQs are for rapid, precise clarification.
Okay, let's take stock of where we are in the template. We hooked the user and the AI with a clear H1 and a short answer.
Yep.
We build massive authority in the body by defining jargon, providing actionable steps, sharing real-world examples, admitting common mistakes, and answering genuine questions.
We did all the hard work.
We delivered all the value. But Schneppat warns that we can't just abruptly end the page and drop the mic. How do we responsibly conclude this journey?
A responsible conclusion is built on accountability and continuity. Schneppat mandates 3 final elements to wrap up the GEO template. First is the author box.
Okay.
He is incredibly firm that anonymous content is weak content.
Because if an AI is going to cite you as a factual source, it needs to know who is actually taking responsibility for those facts.
Exactly that. Stating who created or reviewed the content, whether it is a named expert, an editorial team, or a qualified company representative, fundamentally supports trust.
It grounds the information.
AI systems evaluate the credibility of the author just as much as the text itself. The second element is related internal links.
But I imagine Schneppat doesn't want us just throwing random links to our homepage down there.
No, not at all. They must answer the next logical question the user has. If a user just finished reading a comprehensive guide on website redesign, the natural next step isn't a link to your About Us page.
Right.
It is a link to UX design principles, or perhaps a guide on SEO migration.
Let me define SEO migration quickly for listeners, since we mentioned defining jargon earlier.
Good call.
An SEO migration is the incredibly stressful process of moving a website to a new domain or overhauling its architecture without losing all the search engine rankings you've spent years building.
It's a perfect example. If they are redesigning, they will naturally worry about losing traffic.
Yeah, that's the immediate fear.
Anticipating that next anxiety and linking to the solution keeps the user and the AI crawler moving logically through your ecosystem. Which brings us to the final element of the page, the conversion or next step.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, wait, that's your line?
Go ahead, you can have it.
But seriously, Schneppat's entire philosophy of GEO isn't just about showing up in AI search results for the sake of vanity metrics. It is about turning that visibility into a meaningful, tangible outcome for the creator.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, to reclaim my catchphrase, the page must guide the user toward a useful next step. And that step has to feel entirely natural based on the intent of the page they just read.
Makes total sense.
If they are on an informational guide, aggressive sales tactics will break the trust you just built. The natural step might be downloading a checklist or subscribing for more insights.
Just a soft conversion.
Right. But if they are on a highly specific local service page, the next step should absolutely be a frictionless way to book a quote or call for emergency help.
You deliver the value, you prove your expertise, and then you make it incredibly easy for them to take action.
That's the formula.
But looking at all these mandatory elements, the specific H1s, the short answers, the step-by-steps, the author boxes, I see a massive structural risk here.
Oh, what's that?
If every single creator follows Schneppat's exact template, doesn't the internet just devolve into a sea of robotic, identical pages? We lose all variety.
That is a very valid concern.
Yeah.
And Schneppat is acutely aware of the trap of sameness.
Okay, good.
He emphasizes heavily throughout his work that these templates provide necessary structure, not a straitjacket. You don't just blindly copy-paste the elements.
So you have to actually think about it.
Yes. He outlines distinct adaptations of the template based entirely on the specific type of page you are creating. The structure must serve the user intent.
So what does this all mean in practice? Let's look at how he adapts this. If I'm writing an informational article, say, a page answering what is GEO, how does the template shift?
For an informational piece, Schneppat says the page needs to lean heavily into definitions, detailed methodologies, and exploring related questions.
Okay.
The goal is academic depth. It must be comprehensive enough to earn its status as a primary source.
But if we shift gears to a service page, for instance, SEO audit for small businesses, the focus completely changes. Now, Schneppat says it's entirely about process and trust signals.
Right. You're selling a service, not writing a textbook.
Exactly. We don't need a massive methodology on the history of SEO. We need to explain the specific problem, who the service is explicitly designed for, what deliverables are included, and case studies proving past success.
And the adaptation for a local business page is even more specialized. Schneppat points out that these pages rely heavily on proximity and local proof.
Like the plumber in Flensburg.
Exactly. If the page is emergency plumber in Flensburg, the user doesn't want an essay on fluid dynamics.
They want their pipes fixed.
Right. They need the specific service area, emergency response times, photos of the actual local team, and reviews from people in their own neighborhood. The structure connects the expertise to a physical, immediate location.
I found Schneppat's notes on e-commerce product pages particularly fascinating, actually.
Well, agreed.
He notes that AI search engines are increasingly going to summarize basic product specifications anyway. They can pull the dimensions or the battery life of a camera instantly, so your product page has to provide deeper original value.
It is a critical insight. For e-commerce, Schneppat says yes, you need the clear specs, but the real value comes from defining who the product is actually for.
Yeah.
And, counterintuitively, you must define who it is not for.
That is another huge aha moment for me. We talked about admitting mistakes earlier to build trust, but actively telling a potential customer, do not buy this running shoe if you have wide feet, seems like terrible business advice. You are turning away a sale.
But you are preventing a return, a negative review, and a loss of brand trust.
Oh, that's true.
From an AI perspective, providing the constraints of a product is an incredibly strong signal of objective expertise. A manufacturer says, this shoe is perfect for everyone.
Which is never true.
Exactly. An expert reviewer says, this shoe is terrible for trail running, but incredible for asphalt. AI search engines prioritize the objective, nuanced expert over the blanket manufacturer pitch every time.
Schneppat also touches on comparison pages like SEO versus GEO. He warns that you can't just write a massive article where the whole point is declaring that your favorite option or the software you happen to sell is the undisputed winner.
It's so transparent when companies do that.
It has to be balanced. You have to outline specific scenarios where the competing option might actually be better.
And finally, his rule for case studies is simple but rigorous. Avoid vague exaggeration at all costs.
We've all seen those.
A GEO-ready case study needs the honest client context, the specific problem, the detailed process, and the literal, quantifiable results. We increased sales is weak. We increased lead volume by 22% over 6 months by restructuring their checkout flow. Now that is a citable fact.
So bringing this all back to the creator staring at their computer screen, do they really have to cram a methodology section, an author box, and a pros and cons table onto a simple, straightforward plumbing repair page?
Not at all. To prevent people from mechanically applying sections that don't belong, Schneppat provides a pre-publishing checklist.
Oh, perfect.
It is a filter the creator must run their content through before hitting publish. You look at a section and ask, does this specific paragraph help the user? Does it improve the overall clarity?
Important questions.
Does it add original value that isn't found elsewhere? Does it make the page more citable for an AI? And does it help the user take the next logical step?
And if the answer to those questions is no, let's say I wrote a beautiful, funny anecdote about my grandfather's hammer for that hardware store page, but it doesn't meet Schneppat's criteria.
And Schneppat says you cut it, delete it.
Ouch.
I know, it hurts. But the template is designed to force the writer to think clearly and prioritize utility over self-indulgence. You never include unnecessary sections just to check a box on an SEO tool. Intelligent application always beats mechanical repetition.
Which perfectly brings us to Jörg-Owe ultimate practical lesson from this entire chapter. He distills all of these strategies, templates, and checklists down to one powerful guiding principle. Do not create pages that only exist to rank. Create pages that deserve to be used as sources.
That single sentence encapsulates the entire philosophical shift from traditional search engine optimization to generative engine optimization.
It's a huge shift.
For the last decade, marketers built pages to game algorithms. They bloated word counts, hid the real answers at the bottom of the page to increase scroll time, and stuffed awkward keywords into every heading.
We've all suffered through those pages.
Schneppat is officially calling time of death on that era. AI search engines don't care about your scroll time. They are looking for definitive, clear, intelligently structured sources to cite.
Yeah.
If your page isn't genuinely useful to a human trying to solve a problem, it will be invisible to an AI.
It really makes you rethink the entire landscape of the internet we are building right now. Which leaves me with a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If AI search engines become the absolute primary way we navigate the web, if they become the ultimate gatekeepers deciding which content gets seen and which gets ignored, how will our very definition of good writing evolve?
That's a deep question.
In a world where ruthless structural clarity is the absolute king for both human readers and machine algorithms, will flowery, clever, poetic marketing speak eventually go extinct entirely?
Wow.
Will we lose a certain kind of creative serendipity in our quest for perfect structural efficiency, or will we simply be liberated from decades of online fluff, finally getting the answers we actually want?
It is the defining tension of this new technological era, and a question every writer, marketer, and creator is going to have to answer for themselves very soon.
Definitely something to keep in the back of your mind the next time you are staring down a blank page, wondering how to start. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Jörg-Owe incredible work. To explore more of these concepts, you can head over to blue3w.com. And be sure to join us for our next deep dive, where we will be covering Chapter 8, GEO by website type. Goodbye.